What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rants and Headaches. Thank you so much for watching. And today is another story time video. I made a video not too long ago titled Story Time. I'm in a casual relationship and I have fallen in love. That relationship is over now as of a couple of hours actually, and so here is the follow-up story time. So I kind of thought initially it might be best to give it some time and then talk about it, but we all know I'm not going to get sleep tonight. I'm very upset, so I might as well just kind of get everything off my chest now. And while I do want to do more storytime videos in general anyways, I think in particular with these types of storytime videos, sharing these kind of stories I think can be helpful for other people who find themselves in similar situations. So before I give you guys the most recent updates, let me just kind of recap what happened. So before this relationship, I'd been single for about 5 years. That's a really long time, and it's one of those things where it's like the first few years, you know, I'd been through something really awful and I just kind of had sworn off dating and was perfectly fine being single. So I'd say that lasted for about 3 years. For the past 2 years, I've been going through this thing where I keep telling myself that I'm gonna get back out there, and just kind of not really getting around to it. On the one hand, I think part of that was because it's like, oh, I want a boyfriend, but it's like finding the right person and finding someone you're compatible with, and it just kind of all these are things that kind of scared me away from dating. But also it was just a matter of, you know, getting my motivation up and actually putting in the work. So anyways, I met this guy this past January 2022, towards the end of the month. There was just a lot going on, and I was just so stressed out of my mind with everything that was on my plate, and I was just at my wit's end with a lot of things. And so I still wasn't really looking for anything at that point, but I was just like, I have got to just get out of the house, go have a night of fun, and just let loose for a little bit and just forget all my problems. So that's what I did. And there's this particular club I like to go to, and they had an event that night that I was really interested in, so I was like, you know what, this is one of my favorite places to go when I want to blow off some steam, so let me go see who's there. It's also one of the few places I really feel comfortable actually getting out and socializing. I would generally not describe myself as a shy person, but most people the first time they meet me will say that they think I'm really shy. If I am not in my comfort zone, if I am not in something that I kind of consider my space or something that I regularly go to, I feel kind of out of place, and it's kind of harder for me to approach people, talk to people, meet new friends, that kind of thing. But I've been going to this place for so long that, like, even though I don't go a lot, it's like whenever I do, I can just get out and start talking to people and it's not an issue. I feel comfortable, I feel at home. So anyways, I go out to this place, wasn't really looking for anything in particular, was really just trying to just have fun and just relax a little bit. And I met this guy, he approached me, and, you know, we started a conversation, and, you know, it was an amazing night. I don't actually remember what my first initial impression of him was when he first started talking to me, but I was very impressed pretty quickly just with the way he communicated to me, the way he spoke to me. Not just so much the sound of his voice, just the way he said things. He was just he was so kind, and that was just refreshing. Kindness goes so much farther than people think it does sometimes. But anyways, I was very impressed with him. We had a great time that night. We ended up talking for like an hour. We exchanged numbers, you know, and I was thrilled that I had met somebody that I could actually see again. It was unexpected, and I just was really into him. Now, I said that it was a casual relationship, so we never really like sat down and said, okay, this is a casual relationship. But we did both have the understanding that we weren't really trying to build anything, we weren't trying to make this something too long term, but mainly it wasn't something that we were wanting to put titles on. So our first official date, there were a couple things that bothered me. I kind of thought they would be red flags. They turned out to be fine, so at that point I just felt really comfortable with him. He was just so sweet, and he would do all these nice things for me. He treated me so well, and that's just so refreshing. And even whenever he was telling me something I didn't want to hear, I didn't feel like he was BSing me. The honesty was also just something else that I just really, really liked. But obviously the situation doesn't work out, so there are some negative things coming. So the first issue for me was maybe about a month and a half or so into the relationship. He brought up that he felt like I was texting him too much. Now, I have no problem with someone setting boundaries, but I'm really big on like good morning and good night text. So I would send that, and then maybe I would send one or two with things throughout the day. I don't freak out if you don't answer me. It's just one of those things. Like, I see a stupid meme, I might send it to you. Stuff like that. It's really not, so I was kind of surprised just because I'm not a very aggressive texter. In fact, that's one of my pet peeves with other people. So to me, it just felt a little bit ironic, but I was like, okay, something was an issue for him and he communicated it clearly and respectfully. Yeah, I can't really complain about that. It was a little bit disappointing, but you know, okay, whatever. The main thing for him was that he doesn't like texting in general. So it's not like he wasn't in communication with me. Like, we would be on the phone like once a week and it would be like an hour-long conversation. So it's not like I had no contact with him outside of, you know, whenever we were meeting up. But it was a little bit disappointing, because then it made me feel like if there's something throughout the day that bothers me, or that's, you know, unusual, or something I just want to mention to him, it's like I feel like I can't because it bothers him. So that was the first thing. The next thing, this was probably like early to mid-March at this point. At that point, I had pretty strong feelings for this guy, and I spent like a couple weeks going through this. Do I say something? Do I not say something? I kind of felt like it might be a little bit out of line because this is obviously not what this is. And I was like, you know what? Worst comes to worst, he says no, give it a shot. So I called him up, and he was out somewhere or something at the time he picked up the phone. I was like, can you just stay on the, you know, can you just, I want to talk to you about something that's important, so let me know when you're free. So I stayed on the phone with him until he got home and could kind of settle in a little bit. And I said that I wanted to be his girlfriend and wanted to know if he would be open to that. And he turned me down, which wasn't a huge shock, but one of the reasons that made me feel that emboldened was a few days before, he had dropped me off at my house, and he looked me in the eyes and he had this huge smile on his face. And I'm sorry, but the way he smiled and the way he looked, that's not the way you look at someone who's just a friend or friends with benefits, you know? But he gave me a few different reasons. One of them was that he felt he had too much baggage, which I think is bullshit. I'm perfectly comfortable with the amount of baggage that he has. If I want someone who has zero baggage, then, like, I mean, come on. And also, he's just kind of going through his own things right now, so he kind of feels like he needs to be single. Which honestly, I would rather someone be honest about, because if I am going to be your girlfriend, like, some things are going to change. You're going to have to be a little bit more available to me. So if you're not willing to do that, I would rather you just say so. So when that conversation happened, I was definitely disappointed, but obviously I wanted to be with him, you know, and he doesn't want that. So I was very disappointed, but it wasn't this huge deal breaker thing for me. But my thing is this, like, if I can't be your girlfriend and we're not a thing, we're not a couple, we're not planning to move in together, we're not, you know, telling people that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, all that kind of stuff, fine. But I would prefer, even in a casual relationship, to have something that feels more like an actual friendship. And the next thing you know, he's constantly putting these boundaries on me. And I think part of it was because he knew that I had feelings for him, and he kind of wanted to keep that separation, which I get. But if, like, every other time we speak, you're telling me something else I can't do, like, this is becoming way less mutually beneficial for me. So why should I continue this? So for example, anytime I would tell him, you know, hey, I'm free this weekend, did you want to meet up? Did you have plans? And his response would almost immediately be, you know, we'll see. We'll see. And I like to plan my whole week ahead of time. I've got a full-time job. I have 2 Facebook pages I create content for. I have a YouTube channel that I create content for, which I try to put out 3 videos every single week for, which might not sound much, but it's a lot when you have other things to do. And there are a few other projects I'm involved in. I've got a lot going on, so it's like, it's fun to be spontaneous once in a while, but for the most part, I need to plan out my week and figure out what I'm doing with my time. So that kind of became an issue. Because he just never really wanted to give me an answer. He just kind of expected me to be at his beck and call, and that just doesn't fly with me. Like, I'm sorry, but if our relationship was a little different and I was getting more out of you, then maybe I would be a little bit less picky about this particular thing. But I really got frustrated with every time I asked him a direct, specific question, I would just get this flippant answer. He was not rude to me. I don't want to misrepresent him. He was not rude to me. But I just felt like, if I can't ask you questions, if I can't talk to you at all, like, I get I'm not your girl, but give me something, So that was bothering me. That kind of felt like putting another boundary on me, which I didn't like. I had started calling him a pet name, and he told me he didn't want me calling him that anymore, which again, I think was a matter of him trying to kind of keep things separated, which I get, but it's like, okay, if you're just going to restrict me more and more and more, then this just isn't going to be mutually beneficial. So it's like, on the one hand, I'm getting frustrated with these kinds of things, but then on the other hand, it's like, I still have really strong feelings. I am so stupid in love with this man, it's ridiculous, okay? I am in love with this man, okay? Like, if he called me right now and said he wanted to be with me, and in order for that to happen, I would have to move across the country with him, or I would have to promise to marry him tomorrow, like, I would probably be down for it. Like, I am in love. And so all of this has just been playing on my mind way more than it has his anyways. So what I started to realize is this is taking up my time and my emotional energy, because when I'm not around him, like, he's all I think about. Like, it's that bad. Like, I've got a real bad case here. And I just realized it was impacting other areas of my life. And I wasn't focused on things that I wanted to be focused on. I was distracted all the time because of this situation with him. And it's just kind of like, well, if I'm not really getting what I want to out of this situation, then why should I keep putting my time and my emotional energy into this thing if only one of us really cares about it? And don't get me wrong, in terms of how he treated me, everything was fine, everything was wonderful. It was just a matter of me wanting more than he was willing to give. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is he's probably moving across the country in mid to late June. So it was kind of getting to the point where it's like, okay, the end is near anyways, so I really can't keep investing my time. If I didn't have my feelings for him the way that I do, it would be fine. But it's like every time I see him, it's just harder for me to leave and harder for me to let go and harder for me to go another week without seeing him. It's not worth it if you feel this strongly about somebody. So I kind of thought, all right, well, why don't we get together maybe a couple more times, and maybe Memorial Day weekend can be like our last hurrah or whatever. And because it's like I wasn't really ready to just completely let go yet, but at the same time, it's like I'm putting a lot into something that I'm not going to get anything out of in the long run. So I was on the phone with him, and we'd been trying to meet up like every other weekend, and we'd stay pretty consistent with it. And we'd missed that past weekend because of some stuff he had going on with his family, which is fine. You have your own life. I get it. But, I would like to see you again, please. And so I asked him, well, are you free this weekend? And he didn't even take a breath. I don't know, we'll see. And that was kind of the final straw for me. It's like, it means the world to me when I'm going to see you again. And to you, it's just kind of whatever. And at that point, I was just like, you know what? This just really doesn't sit right with me. So I took a little bit of time to think about what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? At this point, it really needs to be enough. I can't keep putting emotional energy into this. I can't keep wasting my time on this. And just this whole relationship has completely changed my perspective on love and relationships anyways. For the longest time, I really felt like I was fine being single, but just having somebody, even though I didn't really have him the way I wanted to, just having him in my life just made my life so much better. And it really has made me think, you know, maybe I do want to go out there and find somebody I can spend my life with. And if that's how I feel, I can't keep reserving my emotions for this person who doesn't want a future with me and reserving my time for him. So I made the decision that we just shouldn't see each other anymore, and I called him, and I basically said, you know, I don't think we should see each other anymore, and I explained my reasonings. He's very kind, he's very sweet, so anytime he's delivering bad news, he like tries to kind of sugarcoat it, or at least say it in a very soft way. So while we were kind of talking through everything and I was explaining, you know, my side of things and how I felt, and, you know, every time I'm with you, I just want more with you, and that's not what you want. And he was kind of explaining his perspective as well, and he said something along the lines of, you know, wanting to be single right now, but also if he did date again, that I'm not the one. And that kind of threw me off, and I said, you know, well, what do you mean by that? And he said, you're in deeper than I am. And you know what? That's a totally valid reason. That can be intimidating. That's a lot of pressure. And it also makes you feel like you're being very unfair to the other person. In my opinion, I don't think two people need to have the exact same amount of love for each other in order for the relationship to work. But I am madly in love with this guy. I'm so head over heels. It's insane. I never thought I could be this in love with somebody. So I guess I can kind of see from his perspective if that's something that would just add pressure. So anyways, I think our conversation lasted about 20 minutes or so. I wanted to kind of say what I had to say and hear what he had to say without really dragging everything out. So I feel like it went well. I was kind of holding back tears towards the end of the conversation, which I expected. And I bawled my eyes out. But as much as it sucks, and as much as part of me wants to doubt myself, I know I made the right decision. I mean, like I said, even if I didn't break this off, he was gonna leave in like, what, a month anyways? So, yeah, I was holding on to nothing and leaving a lot of time for nothing. But it's about so much more than that. I don't just want someone to go spend time with now and then, to go hang out with. I want someone I can call in those moments without feeling like I'm bothering them, where I am really upset or scared or hurt or you know, even in an emergency. I want that one special person that I can call. And, you know, right now it feels like I'm never going to be over him, but I think that's just going to take time. But I really do want somebody there. You know, I want someone who actually cares about me. And so I know I'm going to be struggling with my feelings over this for a while. And I don't want to jump into something when I'm really not over a past relationship. But I also just am kind of feeling this anxiety about dating again, because there's compatibility, there's attraction, there's being on the same wavelength about all these various things. As much as I know at this point that I do want something serious with somebody, it's so intimidating to try to get out there again. Do I try to go out? Do I spend a bunch of money going to places hoping I'll meet somebody? Do I humiliate myself on some online dating app? I mean, you know, just finding somebody who is interested enough to ask questions and see if this can be something, that's hard enough. But on top of that, finding somebody who wants the same things that you do, or at least has enough in common with you that you could have a successful relationship, finding someone who is compatible with you. Another issue is having very different beliefs. A lot of people are just not very tolerant of that kind of thing these days. I don't need someone to share all my hobbies, but I would like to have some type of similar interest. I mean, there's so many, there's a million and one things that can go wrong in a relationship at any point in time. And that's so frustrating, because even if I beat the odds and I go find somebody who checks all these little boxes, who feels that I check all their little boxes, you know, maybe we could be together, we could have this great 8 months, and then who knows, they've fallen out of love, or they're making a major life decision that I can't. I mean, there's all these things that can go wrong. And so it's like, on the one hand, I'm still dealing with my emotions over losing this person. I mean, he's the most amazing man I have ever met in my life. I love him so much. I'm so disappointed that this couldn't be something. I don't feel like he led me on or played me, but there were just so many moments where it seemed like he really cared about me enough that he would at least be open to pursuing a relationship with me. So I kind of feel like his words have not matched his actions, not in the sense of him trying to intentionally deceive me, but I'm a little confused as to what he really wants. But I know that eventually I will be over this experience I've had. It's kind of conflicting, because it's like, in a way, I feel like I've learned several things, so it's kind of, I don't know, maybe a better person or a more open-minded person. But you know, just because of the pain, I kind of want to wish that I never met him. You know, I feel like I met the most amazing, most wonderful man in the world, and I didn't get to keep him, and that's so disappointing. How am I supposed to go out there and just find someone that amazing who loves me like I love them? It just feels like it can't happen. But then I just kind of wonder, because like, in a few months, am I going to go back to kind of how I was before and just feel like, you know, for the longest time I was fine with the thought of being single for the rest of my life. So is this really like a permanent change in who I am, or is it just something I felt during this experience? All things considered, I don't regret the experience. It just hurts right now, but that's just how it goes. He can be as confused as he wants to be. I've never been so sure of anything in my life. And I'm not a very trusting person. I'm not a very open person. And I don't like having to go through these kinds of things. And that's just the reality with relationships and with dating. And some people really believe in relationships, or maybe marriage is something that's important to them. And they can face heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak and just keep going, hoping they'll find this person that they can have this really special thing with. And sometimes they'll find that, but sometimes they will end up settling in the long run anyway. So why did you know, to me it's like, why put yourself through all of that? You didn't really get what you wanted at the end of the day. You just settled for something. And I definitely don't want to be in a situation where I'm settling for less than what I deserve or less than what I'll be happy with. I want to take my time to kind of get my head straight again, but I do worry about getting back out there. There are so many people who just can't be trusted. There are so many people who are just liars, who are cheaters. So I don't know. It's like, this thing has made me realize that maybe I want a relationship much more than I've cared to admit in the past. But people just put each other through so much crap, and I'm not willing to risk being somebody's victim. So many people are just fake. I'm not going to find the kind of authenticity that he had just anywhere. So it's like, now I'm motivated to try to find somebody, but I'm just not willing to put myself through a bunch of crap, hoping I'll find something that will work. And that's kind of what I'm worried about. So anyways, that is my story of this wonderful, amazing, incredible relationship that did not last. He really is an incredible man. As much as it kind of hurts, and part of me wants to say that I wish I never met him, that's really not how I feel at all. I feel like he's made my life better. I feel like I'm a better person from having known him. I feel like he enriched my life in many, many ways. Obviously, it hurts me and upsets me that I couldn't keep him, but I really don't regret a second of it. I just wish we had more time together. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed this video, half this video, or even just a quarter of this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe.